You're listening to Tom Parry on SYN Nation, and today I'll be discussing the best movies of 2017 with podcaster and fellow movie lover David Holland, and he joins us here in the studio now. Welcome, David.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So, David, I understand you are podcasting at the moment?
Not at the moment. I was. At the start of the year, my friend Jared and I, we were in the UK on pretty much holiday, essentially, for a few months, and we decided to record a mostly weekly podcast and send that back. The friends and family back there could listen if they so choose. Some of them did, which was all right, I guess, and then asked me questions about it, and I was like, yep.
Yeah. So in those podcasts, did you talk about your adventures around the UK or just shenanigans you're up to? Or?
Yeah, so since we were doing a lot of new stuff and traveling, exploring the world, there was quite a few things to talk about there, but it was kind of just the two dudes talking genre, which is a great genre to have because you don't have to stick to any sort of thing to talk about. You can bring up whatever and provide your opinion on it. If we thought of some interesting question throughout the week, we can meditate over that, or I listen to a lot of other podcasts, so if that sparked something in me and was like, I want to talk about this from this podcast.
Awesome. So let's get into it. We've selected 3 movies that we believe are the best of 2017, and the first on that list is Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, this is the first movie to be officially part of the Avengers universe. David, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, Spider-Man Homecoming. We have a new Spider-Man. Well, mostly. He was in Civil War for a bit. This Spider-Man is played by Tom Holland.
Excellent. And he's going up against Michael Keaton as the Vulture. So what did you think of him as a villain?
I thought he was, well, for a Marvel villain, he does a far better job than, what was the guy's name in...
what were any of their names? I mean, I don't think I can remember.
Thanos? Which one's Thanos?
Thanos is the big purple one.
Oh, he's the big one. Wait, what? Who was the evil guy in Guardians 1?
That is a good question. So this is...
Who knows? Exactly.
Yes.
But we know, although the Vulture, he's more memorable. So as a Marvel villain, does a pretty good job. He has some motives which are explained and sort of make more sense.
So you sympathize with his character?
Yeah, because I think the first scene in the movie is Michael Keaton is the Vulture before he's the Vulture.
Yes.
So it gives more context.
So, and we've also got an appearance from Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
as Tony Stark.
So I feel like Tony Stark was good in the film. It sort of makes sense for him to be there with the stuff that happened in Civil War. In the advertisements for the film, in the trailers, they put too much Tony Stark in to get all those Iron Man fanboys into the things. Like, this is a Marvel film. Look, it's got Tony Stark. But it's like they put him in too much, and they put like the reveal of him actually being in with Spider-Man in there rather than him just sending a floating suit of armor. So if they just left a bit of Tony Stark to be more revealed, it would have been a much better sort of surprise because, you watch the trailer and that's pretty much all the Tony Stark that's in the film.
Yeah, I agree. They totally botched the marketing there. But nonetheless, Spider-Man Homecoming, a great superhero movie with a great cast and I believe the best movie of the year.
Excellent start for Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Indeed. So we'll move on to our second pick now, and it is Baby Driver. So this comes from director Edgar Wright, who you might know from the Cornetto trilogy and Scott Pilgrim. David, how do you believe Baby Driver compares to those films?
I like Edgar Wright, as many people do. He makes some interesting films that have great action in them and lovely camera work and are directed well by a great director, Edgar Wright.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. So I really like Hot Fuzz from the Cornetto trilogy, and Scott Pilgrim is great. Baby Driver is also really good. Probably not as good as those other two I just mentioned, for me personally, but still a fantastic film. The soundtrack in this film is right up at the front, in your face. It was definitely premeditated before and during filming. That you can tell they're definitely thinking about and using the soundtrack while filming all these scenes, and it's fantastic.
And also on top of that, we've got a fantastic league, Ansel Elgort as Baby.
As Baby, yes.
He's just been nominated for a Golden Globe, and yeah, his performance is excellent, I think.
Yeah, he does really well, and also who else is it? Kevin Spacey does a good job.
But we shouldn't really talk about
Yeah, we
him,
shouldn't talk
should we?
about Kevin Spacey, apparently, for some reason. I don't know why. I haven't read the news. What's news? Who else is there? What's his name?
We've got John Hamm in there.
John
as
Hamm.
well.
I was like, John Hamm.
Yeah, there we are. There's also Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
John Bernthal makes an appearance in there.
They all did really well. Yeah, I like John Hamm. Quite an interesting character.
So, Baby Driver, again, a great cast. Wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
Everything synced perfectly together with the soundtrack.
Yeah, fantastic action and driving scenes.
And it's got an original story as well.
Yes.
We rarely see that these days. So, if you're sick of like superheroes and sequels, definitely catch this one on DVD.
You still want some action, though.
Yes. And finally, The Disaster Artist. Now, this is based on a enigmatic figure, let's say, called Tommy Wiseau. Who is Tommy Wiseau, David?
That is the question, Tom. Who's Tommy Wiseau? I don't know. He's a man with hair.
And a funny accent.
And a strange accent. Where is it from? He won't tell you. Why is he doing what he's doing? Because he has dreams and aspirations. He wants to be a star.
Like so many of us do.
Yes.
So the film is directed by James Franco, who also takes on the role of Tommy Wiseau.
Yes,
So what did you think of his performance, David?
He did I give him a 9 out of 10. Tommy Wiseau would be a very hard character to play just because he's so unique of a person. He wrote, directed, starred in, and produced the film The Room, which this movie is about. Well, how this film came to be. The Room is a film that is so bad in its characters and its script and its plot lines, but still produced fairly well because it had some money behind it. But it's gained this cult following, which, because it's just so ridiculous, it's become essentially a comedy, even though it was originally meant to be some sort of black drama, which was fortunately never going to happen. But now we are blessed with The Room.
Indeed we are. One thing that surprised me about The Disaster Artist, it not only talks about The Room and how strange the whole process of creating it was, but it also portrays Tommy sympathetically. We should explain also that The Disaster Artist is based on a book by Greg Sestero. It's an excellent book, but it deviates somewhat here in the film, David.
Yeah, so Tommy is portrayed in the book not as nicely as he is in the film. In the film, he's portrayed, more, what did you say?
So sympathetic.
Yeah, more sympathetic and just more sort of driven, and you really see his passion and aspiration for making a film, becoming a star. And the book has a lot more detail in it of Tommy's just more day-to-day weirdness as it would have. So that sort of, it doesn't come across as much in the book how Tommy is in real life. Whether this film does, I mean, I don't know, because I've never met Tommy Wiseau in real life, and he probably wouldn't tell me about his real life because you're not allowed to talk about him.
No, I can't talk about it.
You can't talk about me. Don't say anything about how he.
There's a quote from the movie in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, you should go see. Well, if you haven't seen The Room, would you recommend watching it before seeing The Disaster Artist?
Personally, I wouldn't actually, because I think you could easily watch The Disaster Artist without having any knowledge of what The Room is.
I think you could. I think because a lot of the film, I mean, it doesn't contain a huge amount of stuff about the actual movie, The Room, like watching it, what it's like. It's got clips and stuff from in there and about the production, but a lot of it is about the friendship and between Greg and Tommy.
Indeed it is. So The Disaster Artist, a brilliant movie about an extremely bizarre movie, and certainly one of the best. It's actually a front runner for the Oscars.
Really?
It really is.
Oh, that's excellent.
So all the more reason to see it. David, thank you very much for joining us in the studio today.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Again, you're very welcome. If you'd like to listen to this interview again, you can do so by visiting syn.org.au. And David, where can we find your podcast?
Probably on YouTube. It's still there somewhere.
Excellent. So if you haven't listened to David's podcast, definitely do so. I certainly recommend it.